need to. Eric? Okay. Yeah, what the heck, it's the extra credit term because of COVID and all that stuff. I'll pay a full ticket again. I've said this before in class. I read this problem, I see a very specific clue, and that specific clue reminds me of a very specific formula. And I think you should get that same habit. Like you should have a flashcard. One side of the card will say the clue, the back side will say the formula that you should be remembering when you see that clue. Hands up. Go, Maddie.
Is the inverse function true?
So as soon as I see this is the flashcard you need to have. When I saw that clue, I remembered this formula. And I'm going to write the formula a little different than it is on the pink sheet because of how the formula gets used in problems like this typically. Just going to make up an example here. Yeah, you need to have that on a flashcard. This line indicates one side of the flashcard to the other. That's how I do that. So, question.
So on one side we have f negative 1 of x, and then on the other side we have 1 over f prime of f to negative 1, 3, well, x. But yeah.
Actually, I would do this. I would say on one side g of x. Doesn't mean that's, it doesn't mean I'm going to encounter a problem where that's what I'll see exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But this is what I want to be remembering. When I see a clue something like this, I'm going to think, hey, I got to remember that. Now I got to figure out why, but. Please.
Why do you have to write the left side like the line x equals 3? What's the point of writing that?
Oh, good question. Tell me how you would propose to write it instead.
What does g of 3?
Now tell me exactly what to write.
Okay, g of 3 equals, and then 1 over, so what if we, that's, under advantage it's going to be g prime of 3, or just g of 3. But yeah, then you have f prime of,
Tell me what you want to write. I don't know what you want.
on the bottom, 3 over x prime, and then just the inverse of f to 3.
Okay, Logan has done a really good job of asking a question that's going to earn somebody a ticket. They stop giving away tickets. This is crazy. Why is that? This is wrong. It's a good question. But who can tell me why that's not correct? Like, this is not true. This is not true. This is true. This is only true because they said it was. This right here is always true. This ain't true. There we go. Let's try Christine.
Is it because, like, you're plugging in the x on a separate graph? Like, if you put it in a G3, that would be on the graph G, whereas when you have x equals 3, the graph is f of -1.
Really good answer. I can't pay a ticket for it. It's not exactly why this is false, but you articulated that very well. I can't give you the ticket, but who else wants a ticket? Here we go. Try somebody new here. Let's go. Hold on. Shoot. Nicole.
Yeah.
All
Okay.
right.
Is it because the first one is like find the derivative then plug in 3? The second one is plug in 3 then find the derivative?
That's even closer.
Okay.
That's closer. That might be it. Like this is saying the derivative of f inverse, you find that first. You find, look close, come on, look. You find the derivative of f inverse first. Once you found that, you plug in 3. And the equation says, you don't really need to do that if you don't want to. Just go plug 3 into f inverse and plug that into f prime, which seems really weird, but that's what the formula says. This says to find the value of g, you do that. I'm going to pay Nicole the ticket. Look, the thing that jumped out at me was this. This equation says the derivative of f inverse. This just says g alone. Like, they're not the same thing. The derivative of f inverse isn't g. G and f inverse are the same, so you could do this. You could take this away and write you could say d of g over dx at x equal 3. That now becomes a true statement. You can do that. I don't know if I've answered your question
So
though.
what about the g prime of x and then the line?
Like this?
Yeah.
This notation is it makes sense that you would think that would work. It's just not what the world decided was the right notation. They'll write this instead. That means go find g prime, then plug in 3. This does mean the same thing as this. Those two are identical.
So you could just write g prime of 3 equals 1 over f prime.
Yes. In fact, listen to Logan. That's exactly what you should be getting out of this whole problem. Is because you saw this, which reminded you of this, and then they want g prime of 2. I use 3 as my example. They want g prime of 2. You can say, oh, I got it. G prime of 2 is the exact same thing as 1 over f prime of f inverse of 2. Yeah, that is perfect. Make sense? Please.
So if g of x equals f inverse of x, then g prime equals 1 over f prime f negative, the f inverse of x, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Perfect. Neat question. Awesome. So now what do I do? Like I'm trying to find g prime of 2. Like that was a really good discussion because that was all focused on ideas, not on this problem. So that's going to help you on future problems. Max?
It says up there that function of g is the inverse function of f, so, and g of 2 is equal to 1, so f inverse of 2 is equal to 1 as well.
Okay. Max just said g and f inverse are the exact same thing. So because g of 2 equals 1, f inverse of 2 must also equal 1. It's perfect. So that means g prime of 2 must equal 1 over f prime of 2. Now what?
Now we find the derivative function for f of x, the derivative of f of x, which is, let's see here, 2x squared, sorry, 3x squared. It's 3x squared. Plus 1.
And then what do we do with it?
And then we plug 2 into the f prime of x, and then we get, let's see, 4 times 3 is 12, plus 1, 13. So g prime 2 equals 13. 1 over 13. Yeah. Which is a.
I don't understand how g of 2 equals 1 equals f would be inverse f of 1 equals 2.
Hold on. So I gotta say back to you, man, make sure I heard it right. You're saying you don't understand this one.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I'm gonna pay you a ticket for this. That's a really good question. I think what you're mixing up is the following. We've seen problems that have this, that use this formula, and the problem was laid out differently. And you had to remember this concept. You had to remember that if you have values of f, now here we don't have any values of f, so I'm just going to make some up, okay? Like we had values of f of 5, 7, 6, 12, 7, 15 or something. Then you would also have values of f inverse. And Maddie, what would the values of f inverse be?
7, 5, 12, 6, 15, 7.
Which would allow us to find things like, f inverse of 7 is equal to 5.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, you've seen a problem like this that had that kind of an idea.
Mm-hmm.
They just didn't give the information you would need to answer that for this problem. Because what they said instead was, they said g of any x is exactly the same as f inverse of that same x.
Oh.
So since g of x equal 2 is 1, f inverse of x equal 2 is also 1. Is that helping?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you were looking here just because it's happened before. It's kind of that example of trying to stay away from solving a problem by remembering a problem, because they'll trick you.
Is the reciprocal when you switch it and change the sign?
No.
How do you do that?
Let me write that down. Like, the reciprocal of 2/7 is 7/2.
Yeah.
That's reciprocal. And you're remembering when we talked about lines that are perpendicular or normal, their slopes are negative reciprocals of each other. So if one of those lines has a slope of 2/7, the other will have a slope of negative 7/2.
Are line normals going to be on the text?
Possibly, yes. It's not hard, just remember that little thing, that's all you know.
That's the slope, right? That's the only thing you change.
That's the only thing that's different.
Okay, so why wouldn't you put a 1 instead of a 2 when it says f prime of 2 in the blue equation? Right there.
Oh, right here?
No, no, no. To the right, to the right, to the right.
Right here?
Yes. No, down one step.
Right here?
F prime of 1, yes. Because f inverse of 2 equals 1.
Oh, hold on. So Sammy gets a ticket. We're pointing out a big, huge error. I got a little caught up in trying to answer questions, and I just stepped into a mistake, for sure. F inverse of 2 is exactly what we've talked about. F inverse of 2 is up here. It's 1. So F inverse of 2 is 1. And then Sammy, stay with me. What's F prime of 1?
4.
There we go.
How do you know f prime of 1? You plug it into f prime of 1? Oh, no. Oh. Okay, so 4.
Nicely done, Miss Davis. So if your name isn't Davis, you get 2 tickets. I'll tell you where I got it from. Miss Rasband, sorry. Your brother is Davis, right?
Yeah.
There, see?
No, that's my cousin.
It's your cousin, there you go. But I've had him, right?
Davis,
Yeah,
yeah.
Davis Rasband. That's why I got messed up. Then what else you messed me up is there's a famous singer from long ago whose name was Sammy Davis Jr. So those things all got rattled around in my head. Is that okay? Oh boy. Does that make sense, Sammy?
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah, my wife here, 2 tickets. Yeah, so please don't put that, but Canvas will tell you it's wrong, because it is. Good job. I told several people they got tickets, raise your hand. Who do I owe? It's like your shoe matches her shirt. Okay. Sandy gets 2 for Davis. Daddy? Please.
Are you ready for another one?
Yeah, let me stop this one. Ellie.